Hello world, my name is Woodrow Willis, and this is
Tiberius Jones.
And today we're coming to you live from the sound room, and we are going to be reviewing the Netflix movie exclusive
XOXO.
I just wanna say thank you, yeah. I wanna say, I just wanna say thank you, yeah. I wanna say.
Hey Tiberius, we both just watched the movie XOXO, and give me some thoughts on it.
All right. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the score in the film, and also I really liked the soundtrack. I was using Shazam, excuse me. Shazamming songs, and I thought the movie was done really well. The special effects are really good as well. Anyway, I'm not gonna give anything away, but just the visuals of it were really unique and interesting. I thought they did a really good job with it. Acting was fine. The story is kind of cliche, but hey, it's a coming of age, teen type of movie. Mm-hmm. But I liked it a lot. The acting was, the acting was fine. So the main girl, Sarah Hiley, I thought she was really good in it. She was in with the show Modern Family, and then the main kid in it, he actually played Ben 10 in the Ben 10 live action movie. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So yeah, what do you think about it, Woodrow?
Okay, so the guy who directed this movie and was also one of the writers of this movie, and pretty much his whole concept is by a guy named Christopher Louis. I thought, it was pretty interesting. I've been to a couple of raves in my life. First one being in DC many years ago. It was pretty much kind of like in a warehouse down by the river, and it was pretty interesting. That was my first one. I was very new to the scene, did not know what to expect, and kind of blown away from all the different things I saw. Had a really good time. I was probably the only sober person in there. Everybody else in there was either drinking something or taking something, and so they were seeing it from a whole different point of view. But even with that being said, I really enjoyed it, and ever since then I've kind of had a soft place in my heart for that type of environment. But I really never got to go to or took advantage of going to a lot of different raves later. I did get to go to a couple, and one up in LA and one in San Bernardino, and had a really good time. So watching them bring this experience and put it on the big screen, they did a pretty good job. I thought a very hard thing to do. Doing a concert movie in general is a very hard thing, to try to get that energy and that music and the behind the scenes and all that good stuff, and try to capture that experience and then show that to a movie audience. That's a very difficult thing to do. And I thought overall that Christopher Louis did a pretty decent job at that. As far as the actors and actresses go, it was a hodgepodge of characters. Like you said, it's definitely of a coming of age story. It had its tropes or whatever, but overall I was okay with it. The acting in some parts to me was better than others. Some of the characters were able to kind of bring it more often than some of the others were just kind of there. But it still was okay. Sarah as the main actress, and Graham Phillips as the actor. Those two, I thought they, when they did interact on screen with each other, they did seem to have a chemistry. And I've actually saw some of their interviews since I've watched that movie. It's an interesting dynamic there. I guess we can kind of maybe talk about that later. Yeah, overall, I was pretty decent with the movie. Did you have any parts of the movie that stood out to you or that you really enjoyed as far as like actual watching the storyline?
Yeah, I don't want to give anything too much away, but one of the characters pretty much takes a drug by accident, and he's going through like an acid trip, and that whole sequence, the visuals of it were phenomenal, and I really enjoyed that scene. That's probably my favorite scene. But my favorite character or actor in the movie is a guy named Chris D. Elia, and he was the dude who ran the record store, and he sort of, was the one who got thrown out the bus, wanted to get beat up, who almost got beat up by some other characters in the movie. And I don't know, his acting, his delivery, his comedy, he's actually a comedian in real life. He was like, he really made me laugh, and I really enjoyed his character. He was my favorite character in the movie, other than the main two actors, but I really liked him in the movie. He was probably the standout, and other than the special effects, he was probably the standout in it for me.
I agree. I liked him a lot. I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought Graham Phillips did a good job. Sarah, she was good majority of the movie. There was like one or two scenes that I was kind of like a little bit maybe iffy on, but it's not to take away from anything. Some of the writing could have been a little bit stronger in parts. Matter of fact, and I know the guy's name is Colin Woodley, Ray. Okay, so they had this couple in it. It was Ray and Shayna, I think. And the actress name, her name is Haley. Haley, and excuse me, Haley, if I mispronounce your last name. It's like Kayoko. They actually had some pretty good chemistry together, but there were parts like there's a particular part where they find themselves in an unlikely location considering they're going to a rave, and they were having this really heartfelt conversation, something that's kind of been building up for a while throughout as we begin to get to know these characters. That exchange to me could have been written a little bit stronger. If you're actually listening to the words that are coming out of their mouth and not just caught up in the feeling of the environment and everything they've been through, then you see that it's kind of a little bit weak there, that dialogue, but I do think they were able to kind of bring it through. Acting wise, overall, I'm probably going to give it a C, as far as an A through C scale or whatever. It's about average. Like you said, you have some people that kind of stood out very well, and then you have some people that's not so much. So when you kind of mix it all together, you probably get a little bit of average, going. Visuals, amazing. I mean, they did some really amazing shots, got some really cool, I guess, vistas, some really amazing different points of view. And that environment is so colorful and so lively, and with the animation they were able to kind of bring that into it with the graphics or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. Like you said, the acid trip was really funny. I mean, the whole movie took on it was already a colorful movie, and as soon as the acid trip part happened, it took on a totally different feel. It was pretty neat. You could just kind of, and especially when he again, like you said, they're not giving too much away, but in the beginning, he's not really it's kind of like he's trying whoa, he's trying to keep himself grounded in the regular world as this trip is taking place. So he's kind of trying to fight it, and it's hilarious because 1 second he feels like, I'm in control, I'm in the right spot, like, oh, how did I in here? And then the transitions were pretty funny. Music, the music was pretty good. Like you, I found myself Shazamming, and afterwards I had got a screenshot of some of the songs or whatever and looked them up on YouTube and a couple of other websites, and pretty good soundtrack. I thought they definitely did a good representation, and knowing that they were actually just kind of going from festival to festival to hodgepodge a lot of this together or whatever, that's pretty impressive, at least as far as them getting the original concept out there to try to get this movie made. And I think they did a really good job with the music choices they picked out. Were there any parts of this that you didn't really feel?
The main acting plays the villain. His acting was kind of weak, and as soon as he came on screen, you knew he was a villain. As soon as you were like, he's a villain. Like, there was no surprise to it. It was like, I already know who you are. So that, it was like, oh man. But, other than that, the movie, it's a pretty good movie. Other than, the flaws that you talked about. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
So wait a minute. You telling me that just because the guy had the slick back hair and kind of had that shifty look to him, that made him the villain? Oh, come on now, hey.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They weren't even trying to hide it. Since he came on screen, it's like you already knew.
Yeah, he's
pretty much a mustache twirling villain. If he had a mustache, he would have been. As soon as he turned around, he would have been twirling in his fingers.
Well, what about the guy that played Chopper? His name is LaMonica Garrett. That's the I guess, for the lack of a better word, the villain's sidekick. I guess he really is. He's the villain's sidekick. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy. He was okay. I mean, he was decent. He was, trying too hard to be, the bouncer or whatever. But yeah, he was fine.
There was one part that was a scene with him that I actually found intense, and it was Ethan, exactly, and the young lady. I think of the character's name. They didn't really say it, but on IMDb it says her name is Darla, and they're sitting next to each other on the couch, and he looks at him and he says something, and it gets real quiet and tense. I was like, oh, this movie's about to get dark.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh no, wow.
I was like, they went there.
Yeah.
That was something that they obviously that would have changed the whole tone of the movie. I mean, in every which way possible. But I will give it to them that was pretty dark, and then you can kind of see something like that kind of happening in the industry or whatever, those whole power moves and, putting people in uncomfortable situations and just taking advantage of them for power sake, I guess, purposes. But yeah, that was pretty intense. I actually would have wished that character maybe would have kind of kept that a little bit more as far as like, am I your friend? I'm not your friend. I'm cool. I'm not cool. So the DJ, I'm like you. I felt that he was kind of weak, and it was funny because there was something that happened towards the end of the movie. The Chopper character, he becomes like the yes man. He's like, yeah, kind of parody. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty cool, and to have so many people. I mean, they had a very ensemble cast. I mean, just from the people, like the main characters that we're kind of acting with, or we're seeing, they may not be main characters, but they're still in the movie quite often. And then just the umpteen amount of background people. I mean, they're really at shows for the most part, and they're really doing this. And it's amazing that they were able to get in there and weave this story with all of this craziness going on behind them. No telling what they had to edit out. I can sure if there's ever a director's cut, you're going to see some amazing things going on in the background. But they were able to get these characters and get them throughout and be able to record. And I'm sure they had some setups where they can able to maybe control some of the crowd or have some kind of stand-ins. But for a lot of it, they were just really out there doing it. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Heard for some shot, the director was saying that they had like just like a small amount of people, and they used CG to duplicate them to make it look like it was more for certain shots.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So hey, well, they fooled me because I know obviously they did a lot of had a lot of graphics in it and did a lot of cool special effects, but yeah, I didn't know they were CGing parts of the crowd. But hats off to them. It looked pretty good. Overall, like I said, I thought this was a pretty decent movie. It was definitely, like you said, coming of age. All of these random people coming together for this, this one strange event that kind of brings them all and interweaves them and ties it together. And they have this major experience, life-changing, that they didn't necessarily know was going to happen. That's something Hollywood's done over and over again. But setting it in this rave and knowing what they just the amount of energy that was put into this movie, I thought overall it came out pretty good. A lot of bright colors, a beautiful soundtrack, some okay acting, but overall I thought it was a pretty decent. You got any thoughts there, Tiberius?
Other than everything you said, I agree with everything you said. Beautiful score, great ensemble cast, actually great directing from Christopher Louis for a smaller budget film. But yeah, I thought it was a great film overall. I mean, a decent movie overall. I enjoyed it for the most part.
All right, Tiberius. Well, it sounds like we are ready to give our ratings here. Mr. Tiberius Jones, you first.
All right, I will give it a C. That shit. It's not quite awesome balls, but it's a pretty good watch. It's enjoyable. Like I said, the music's good. It's a pretty good time. I'll give it a C. That shit.
Oh, wow. See, okay, you gave it that's other than Awesome Balls, which was a rating that we don't give out that often. I mean, you pretty much gave it a A. That's our A rating. Okay, good to go. Well, I didn't, I guess, love it as much as Tiberius Jones. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't mind that I saw it. But I think that because of some of the acting problems that I saw, even though the music was great and the visuals were pretty wonderful, I'm going to give it a high straight to video or a extremely low middle of the road. Now, high straight to video is because pretty much I saw it on Netflix. It is copies out there floating around on YouTube, whatever, but check it out on Netflix. This is how this person gets credit. These people get credit for doing this. If you're watching it on YouTube for some illegal download or whatever, you're not really seeing the movie like it was supposed to be seen, and the people are not going to get credit for it. So definitely check it out on Netflix. It's only a couple of dollars, and it's definitely worth that. Now, if you happen to be a person, that musical environment that you like dubstep, you like rave, and you like all that good stuff, and you've been to one of these type of festivals, then I think that you really would get a kick out of this, just kind of seeing some of the things that they put out there on the screen, and I think you'll be able to relate to some of the things that you saw. So I think for a person like that definitely would be willing to go to the movies and pay for this, especially with that soundtrack and the surround sound and the colors on the big screen. That would be pretty amazing. A low middle of the road, which is pretty much a matinee movie price, is definitely worth to see. So, and check out that soundtrack. That soundtrack is definitely something to get. I mean, that for the music that's on it and the music that's inspired by it, I'm sure that's going to be some extra tracks on there. Definitely worth it. And I
Yeah.
really hope that the director is able to get some more of his projects out there, because if he wasn't so tenacious with this, we'd have never seen this. And I think that would have been a loss.
Yeah. All right. You know what? We'll wind that back. I'm going to give it a middle of the road. I'll give it a middle. Just like you said, the story's not, the best story, and then there's some flaws in the acting, and then the villain not being so great, and his sidehead man. So yeah, I'll give it a middle of the road.
Well, so once again, world, my name is Woodrow Kufa Willis, and this is
Tiberius Jones.
And thank you for listening to us as we talked about the Netflix original movie.
XOXO.
Have a great and wonderful day.
Yeah.
Mom's work.
Take care. See you later.